Hearty fraternal greetings and good wishes to the brothers and sisters. Through service to the surrounding life, man can slowly retreat from objectivity to subjectivity as much as one is selfless in his service. And as much as one demonstrates sacrifice in service, he will be able to gain the related virginity, and that virginity enables the vertical growth. Without virginity, there is no vertical growth. Virginity means the purity of mind, of senses, and of body. This becomes the fundamental discipline and is almost promoted by every theology. That is the point where man gains the eligibility to make a vertical ascent. As long as man is deeply interested in the objects of the senses, in the outer, and the senses pull him towards objectivity due to the attraction to the sense objects. Efforts made to make an ascent are frequently obstructed because purity is the basis to ascend into the subtle world. Son of God is born to the virgin. It is symbolic. It is debatable if Mary was virgin or not, as we understand from the physical sense. But Mary was really a virgin in the occult sense. One of the best virgins that are available amidst the human beings. The fact that Son of God is born to virgin throws light upon the spiritual principle that only in virgin mind the divine can descend into. So that forms the basis. On the first day, we spoke upon the 5-pointed star relating to the 5 senses, where the need to withdraw at will from objectivity to subjectivity was explained. A mind that is stuck with objectivity is not eligible to enter into subjectivity. It does not mean that the mind should return forever into subjectivity. It only means that it should be able to project into objectivity and get back into subjectivity without hindrance. If something in the objectivity is excessively attractive, the mind cannot withdraw itself into its center. The center of the five senses is mind, and the center for the mind is the heart. And from heart, there is the entry into the subtle kingdom, which is considered to be a vertical ascent. So the need for horizontals to meet verticals is therefore emphasized in the occult path. We should know the significance of every theology saying about purity. Purity is not the goal. Purity is the means to accomplish the goal. Yes. You cannot be as you like in the name of freedom and demand light. For any experiment, certain conditions are demanded. So to experience light also certain conditions are demanded. So the free flow of mind into and from objectivity is the fundamental step. When this is accomplished, one is accepted as disciple. Then thereafter there are further journeys, the real journeys, into the realms of light. Yes. So purity should be seen as the means but not as the end. So the seeker of truth, who is compared to Sagittarius, keeping his aim very high, that is self-realization, sees the self in the reflected world, serves the world, and in the process of service he purifies himself, by which his sensuous attachment to objectivity is gradually receded. He therefore enters within. When he enters within, the mind meets the heart. It is said that the occult students should start thinking from the heart but not from the mind. It means the mind is merged into the heart, and heart does the double function. Heart works as heart principle, heart also works as mind principle. When the heart works as mind principle, one generally thinks of what is good for all. He does not think what is good for him. It is one for all, then all for one. A mind that is in the objectivity thinks that all is for himself. Yes. Man in the mundane world thinks that the world is made for himself. Yes, he has the right to experience or enjoy everything in the creation. But once he thinks from the heart, instead of rights, he thinks of his responsibilities. That's why in the occult kingdom, we have to celebrate a day for fundamental responsibilities. In the kingdom of ignorance, the day for fundamental rights is celebrated. Fundamental rights are never promoted. Fundamental responsibilities are promoted. If you respond to your responsibilities, your rights are naturally and automatically taken care of. When one thinks of his responsibility towards others, and the other thinks of responsibility towards you, it is kingdom of God upon earth. Yes. If one thinks of fundamental right, yes, you have right for it, you have right for this. If you are reminded only of your rights, we are only manifesting the kingdom of diabolics, not of the divine. Yes. That's why occult students should think of what his responsibility is, but not what his right is. What is my responsibility to the group here? Am I discharging my responsibility to the group? Insofar as I care to respond to the responsibilities, the group takes care of you. This is the law in nature. You take care of nature, nature takes care of you. Yes. You take care of the law of nature. The law of nature takes care of you. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. This is a statement coming from the Vedas. Those who protect dharma are protected by dharma. So your righteousness protects you. Your responsibilities protect you. That is where the story of Ramayana becomes very relevant for all times to this humanity. Please read Ramayana only to know how a man of responsibility lives. Yes. There are 3 brothers mentioned in Ramayana, 3 set of brothers. One set is of Rama, where one is willing to sacrifice for the other. They are one for the others. This is the divine quality. And there is a set of monkey brothers where one tried to dominate the other. And there is a third set of brothers, the diabolics, who look for rights and fight. So these are the 3 categories. And the story of Rama is the story of human responsibility. Right relationship. Yes. It's not so necessary to know what your rights are. It's necessary that you know your responsibilities. Rama shows what is man's responsibility towards parents. What is a man's responsibility towards the teacher? What is one's responsibility towards his co-born? What is one's responsibility towards friends? What is one's responsibility towards enemies? What is one's responsibility towards ladies? What is one's responsibility towards lower kingdoms such as animal, bird and plant? What is one's responsibility to the divine, to the devas? What is one's responsibility to the pitris? It is for this reason Rama's story is supposed to be read, where human life is depicted as one of sacrifice. Sacrifice in terms of the responsibilities that one has to carry. A society where people only know their rights is a society that is doomed. A society in which one knows his responsibilities, the society elevates itself to very great levels. In Ramayana, the city of Ayodhya is the capital of the kingdom of Rama. It is symbolic because Ayodhya is well described as a well-protected capital from within the heart rules 12 parts of the kingdom. Ayodhya is symbolic presentation of the human heart. And the kingdom of Rama is a symbolic presentation of the 12 sun signs. And it is called Ayodhya because it cannot be defeated. The heart quality cannot be defeated. And it is well protected. So in his kingdom, the quality of human being is very high. Then there is the counterpart, Ravana, the king of the diabolics, whose kingdom is called Lanka, an island. Island means it's a separated consciousness, separated from the mainland, meaning separated from the totality of consciousness as individual consciousness. There, the quality of the human being is not mentioned. The quality of the buildings, the quality of the roads, the quality of the mundane splendor is mentioned. There the fundamental rights are more important. In a separated consciousness, fundamental rights occupy the mind. And Ravana is said to be carrying 10 heads. He is called Dashakantha. Dashakantha means 12 heads. 10 heads. 10 heads represent the 12 petals. 12 petal lotus, solar plexus, where you have the man with the pride of his personality, while in the heart there is the superior being who has 12 petals, 12 petal lotus, where there is responsibility as the keynote of life. So those who think of their rights are doomed into solar plexus. Those who get aware of their responsibilities are raised into the heart lotus. This is a secret which as occult students we should know. It is a covetousness of man which looks for rights. And covetousness is a quality of personality. Sharing, distribution, sacrifice, well-being of the fellow beings, these are all the qualities that emanate from the heart. So that is what Ramayana depicts, how Rama as an ideal human being it's an ideal for human being. Yes. The principles of an ideal human being are given in Ramayana. Yes. So that is what brings man into the heart center. As much as we care to respond to responsibilities, regardless the other's attitude towards you. Yes. You are responsible to me and hence I am responsible to you is commercial. I continue to be responsible even if you are irresponsible is the real quality of responsibility. That is the quality which opens the heart. That is the quality which makes man ascend from solar plexus to heart. That is the quality where personality gives way for the soul. Without that quality, even if you acquire a lot of knowledge from the books, it doesn't help you. Such knowledge is not useful. Arjuna had his counterpart in Mahabharata by name Karna. He was also a great warrior. He also carried many celestial weapons. But the knowledge of his celestial weapons does not occur to him when it is needed. What a pity. Any time when the knowledge is needed, it is not present. At other times it is present. Yes. What is the use of such knowledge? Yes. There are many who read so many things, who know so many things, but when it comes to action in a particular situation, that knowledge is not available. He acts as if he has no knowledge. So then why this knowledge at all? Yes. It is a donkey's load. Yes. That kind of knowledge is no knowledge. That is depicted by the anti-hero to Arjuna. Eventually he falls because his knowledge is not useful to him. And Arjuna's knowledge, the beauty of Arjuna's knowledge is he doesn't have to carry anything in the memory. By virtue of the purity, the right knowledge occurs at the right moment and expresses itself out. Is that not a facility? That the right part of the knowledge occurs to you in a given situation and fulfills you in conducting the act. The difference is in terms of service and the related purity. In Mahabharata you find so many characters with so much knowledge. It's a war between titans. Everyone is highly accomplished in terms of knowledge. But it's not knowledge that helped them. It is service, purity that helped the sons of light, while the knowledge without service, without purity, caused the defeat for the other side. So that's why it is very important that as much we think of knowledge, so much we should think of purity. And as much we think of purity, so much service is demanded. That's why self-study and service form the inhalation and exhalation for an occult student. Yes. There is no inhalation without exhalation. There is no exhalation without inhalation. One doesn't work without the other. And the two will lead you to the third point of pulsation. When inhalation and exhalation are equated, it leads you to the source of inhalation and exhalation. That is pulsation. The same principle applies at every point. For absorption of mind, there is the absorption of inhalation and exhalation. The respiration and mind are absorbed into pulsation. Yes. So then there is thinking from the heart, contrary to thinking from the mind. Such ones would make further ascent in knowledge. They get the clues of knowledge. They get the keys to the scriptures. And hence they get more and more magnetized and electrified. That's how they proceed in terms of wisdom and in terms of buddhic plane activity, up to the point where they reach the pituitary body, which is at the brow center. That's where there is the other portal to be crossed, where man has to understand that all is worked by three qualities. Yes. This is what we spoke yesterday and the day before. The three qualities emerge from one center. To reach that center, one has to make a better comprehension of the work of nature in creation. Nature essentially conducts the whole creation through the principle of duality. Duality is the essential principle for manifestation. Neutralization of duality therefore becomes the essential principle for demanifestation. Yes. For appearance, duality is needed. For disappearance, neutralization of duality is needed. Yes, the matter and spirit can get neutralized into the soul. Likewise, all dualities can be neutralized because the dualities are seeming opposites but are complementary at work. For everything, there is the other side. Anything you notice, there is the other side. If there is sweet, there is bitterness. Yes. If there is a sweet experience, there is a bitter experience. If there is an experience of pleasure, there is experience of pain. If there is profit, there is loss. If there is comfort, there is discomfort. If there is night, there is day. If there is full moon, there is new moon. The whole creation is by the AC-DC currents, as they say. The other name for AC-DC currents is Pingala and Ida. Ida and Pingala are the opposite currents through which the whole manifestation happens, and the duality at all times is balanced by the central line of Sushumna. Male-female is a duality. In us, if male-female are neutralized, that means when they are made equal, and the female energy and male energy in each one of us is made equal, we are androgynous. Yes. That's how the right eye and left eye, when they are neutralized, the third eye is opened. Yes. Neutralizing does not mean making them blind. Your attitude to material, to spirit. Your attitude to diabolic and the deva. It's very important. People talk too much about synthesis, not knowing even an iota of it. Yes. Synthesis demands that you have an equal attitude towards that which you think good and you think evil. A neutral attitude. You may act in a given situation to support good, but you are not supposed to hate evil. Hatred to evil produces more evil. That's how more and more evil is produced by the so-called good. People who think that they are good are the ones who emit lot of hatred towards that which they think bad. We arrogate to ourselves to judge what is good, what is bad. What is good, what is evil? Who are you to judge it? With your limited comprehension. Who are you to say that darkness is bad, light is good? Both are equally important in creation. Matter and spirit are equally important. Without spirit, matter falls. Without matter, spirit has no play. Balancing is important. In you, you need to balance everything that you like and that you hate. When that happens, only then you are eligible to enter through the triangle. Not until then. As long as there is something that you don't like, the door is not open. As long as you have liking for something in preference to the other, the door is not open. There are so many stories about it. Your dislike denies you, because like and dislike at the mental and intellectual levels are an aspect of personality. The stronger they are, the stronger is the personality. We hear well-educated people saying, I hate this, I hate that. Yes. If you hate, you are problem to yourself. Why should you hate that which you don't like? It is allowed to be. It is will of God that allowed many things on the planet. Nothing exists without the will. Yes. To say I hate a mosquito makes no difference for mosquito. I hate a scorpio. I hate a snake. Who cares? No one cares. That's not at all the approach in life. If someone is not behaving well, how are you worried? Why should you comment? Yes. What are you to do with him? So what you have to do with him, if you define yourself only in relation to that and don't go beyond, you can experience the same spirit in all. That is synthesis. Does a honeybee hate a rose flower because the rose plant has thorns? It minds its business. What am I to do with this surrounding life? What is my responsibility? What is my duty? That's all. If he is this, if he is that, why are you interacting with people who are bad? What is bad? Your own definition of bad. These definitions are all relative. There are no watertight compartments of good or bad. Once the sons of light see a great diabolic who was always ridiculing, hating and fighting with Krishna. The sons of light see that the soul of the diabolic on death directly enters into the bosom of Krishna. Then the sons of light asked him, how is it that a diabolic enters into you? Then Krishna says, what is the clue to enter into me? Constant recollection. Through hatred, the diabolic recollected me much better than all you, the followers. If we hate someone, we would remember him even in the sleep hours. Isn't it? If we dislike someone, the disliked one keeps coming more frequently than the liked one. Krishna said, you as devotees may sometimes forget me in your daily routine, but this diabolic's recollection of me is total. So in a good way or in a other way, he has been in recollection of me from many decades. And sometimes through such a hatred you may reach me faster than your devotion. It requires lot of thinking to understand this statement of Krishna. Yes. What is important is recollection of the divinity. Which way you do it? Some do it through rituals. Some do it through bhajans. Some do it through meditations. Others do with mantra. So many ways people try to recollect the divinity, and as much as the divinity is recollected, so much it enters into you. You eat sweet, with like or with dislike, it is still sweet. Just because you eat with dislike, will sweet be bitter? Sweet is sweet. Presence is presence. And in fact, Krishna says he is far better devotee than you in this matter. The sons of light were surprised. Many times our understanding of divine and diabolic requires a modification. If you happen to have read Secret Doctrine, you will find that in the third root race, the man became the basis for the divine and the diabolic. It is through man the divine came. It is through man the diabolics came. It is through man the birds came. And it is through man the reptiles came. That's the story of Kashyapa. Yes. Please go through the story of Kashyapa relating to third root race. Here man means the cosmic man. The cosmic man is the basis for all the generation of varieties of species. So in all these species only he exists. And each one is conducting his or its duty. Yes. The intelligences of darkness are conducting their duty. The intelligences of light are conducting their duty. Everything is conducting its duty. Yes. So if you see in the fitness of the activity of nature, everything fits in. Everything fits in. Yes. There is no waste thing in creation. There may be wasted things in creation. We waste for lack of knowledge. There is nothing which is not useful in creation. It's a matter of knowledge. Yes. And there is nothing that exists without the I am. Yes. And hence, if you are able to see the I am in all, their personalities do not worry you so much. Normally, we are oriented to the personalities and develop our likes and dislikes. Yes. So when we think of response, right, there is a responsibility as its counterpart. Yeah. So likewise, when you neutralize all the dualities through knowledge, that's important. That knowledge is complete knowledge where the duality of everything is seen. Riches and poverty are duality. Health and ill health is also seen as duality. Youth and old age, duality. Birth and death, duality. Male, female, duality. When you see one thing, you should also see the other thing simultaneously. Yes. When you walk, if you wish to walk through the portal, you should see the space in between the doors. There are 2 doors to the portal, normally. That is more occult, to have 2 doors. Yes. The 2 doors represent the left and the right. And you have to go through. Yes. So that's where you have to be equidistant between the 2 sides of the portal entry. So in any concept, you have to see both sides. Just like a coin has obverse and reverse, every story has its other side also. When you are partisan in your attitude, partial in your understanding, you are stuck to a side. Yes. So you cannot walk through. Walking through duality is the ultimate challenge. To get into the realms of the soul. Yes. No one can get into the realms of soul when he carries some little hatred to some things. No hatred. No dislike. He may have liking for knowledge. You can't have dislike for ignorance. Because even in the form of ignorance, the divine is there. Many times we shun that which is not to our standards. He may be disciplined, but you cannot slight the indisciplined. He may be intelligent, but you cannot insult the less intelligent. You may be regular in your practices of spirituality, but you cannot look down upon those who don't do it. This is the normal tendency in every human being. Very normal. Our liking to something causes unconscious dislike to the other thing. Unconscious dislike. So you have to make, and any unconsciousness is tamas, the third quality. So you are partisaned, you are biased, you can't enter through the middle point. This synthesis is available only in wisdom, not so much in the religions. Religions only divide things good and bad. Everything good and bad, good and bad, good and bad. That's why Jesus had to come to show what you see as bad is not that bad. That's where Krishna came and showed many things. What the austere people, orthodox people were thinking as not so good, he said it is good enough. all great initiates, they do not say that you have to hug that which is impure, that which is unhealthy, but they would say don't hate it. It has a purpose. If you are pure, you don't have to hate impurity. This is the attitude one should carry. Unless that attitude is well experienced, you cannot win through the duality of creation. That's where the challenge of Gemini is. Before you experience the beauty of Taurus in the reverse direction. The beauty of Taurus is only to those who transcended the duality of Gemini. You see, when we talk, unconsciously we take to one side or the other. The seeming opposites have something behind as a common point. Communism and capitalism are the two extremes. There is a common point for them. It comes through experience. Poverty and riches, the fight between the poor and the rich, there is a common point where they meet. The common point always emerges through higher comprehension. So what is important is to raise our level of comprehension to overcome dualities. More and more you rise in terms of your knowledge, then you see that even ignorance is part of the game. Ignorance is part of the game. And there is no game without opposition. Essentially, game means there are two parties. Even in a house where there are two brothers, if they have to play tennis, they have to take to the opposite courts. Otherwise, there is no tennis. Likewise, when creation is made, one became two, and the whole play is conducted. You have to see what is the common factor between them, than to see what is difference between them. Gemini shows the contrast. Pisces gives the comparison. That's why Pisces is said to be the sign of synthesis. Gemini is said to be the plane of contrast, the sign of contrast. And Virgo has both qualities. In Virgo, there is contrast done, analysis done, and then synthesis reached. The mutable signs have a message. That is a side issue for the moment. What is important for an occult student is to see what is common between us, not to see what is difference between us. If we see differences, we tend to differ. If we see what is common, we commute and commune. That's how the communion is built. Maitreya community demands that we see what is common between us, but not what is different between us. Our awareness towards differences lead us to differences. There is so much of difference of opinion in every group. It comes from seeing differences. If you see what is common, then we tend to be more in communion. Yes. Soul is common to all of us. Life is common because life principle pulsates with all its 5 pulsations and 5 sub-pulsations. Awareness is common. Mind is common, thinking patterns are different. The figure is common. The figure we have, each one of us have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 nostrils, 2 jaws, upper and lower. Each jaw carrying 16 teeth, if they are still there. And 1 tongue within, speech, hearing, smell, touch. Is this not all common? If you see what is common in us, it is more than 95%. All of us have mind. All of us have senses. All of us have body. And the flow of blood, respiration, heartbeat, circulation. You can count, there are thousands and thousands of things that are common in us. There are few different things for the beauty of it. Why should we pitch upon only those few differences and deny that which is so common between us? That's our speciality. Somehow, when we are given a greater area of operation, we choose to take to a dark corner. Can we say that we are intelligent? People who differ are not intelligent. They are ignorant people. People who can say how to cooperate are intelligent people. The definitions of all terms, they keep changing when you get into occult world. So to transcend the triangles, which is the final step for self-realization, which is the step that leads you to Ajna, because the Ajna is within the triangle and it is directly connected to Sahasrara. And you are just below the triangle at the brow center in your buddhic plane. To come up to that plane, you started to live thinking in the heart. Having come back into subjectivity and causing the necessary growth up to the brow center, there you are hauled until you revise all your attitude towards creation, towards the life. That is where you are asked to neutralize the dualities to enter the soul. Because the soul has no duality. There is no such thing as bad soul, good soul. Yes. There can be a badly behaving personality and the other personality. Personalities differ, soul is one. Because it is one soul reflected in so many personalities. As so many souls. So the soul is one. Yes. in its essence, quality, soul is one. There is no duality at the soul level. All duality exists at personality level. The ones who reach soul level, they work for the plan. And there are people who are contrary to plan. When they try to neutralize the contrary activity, they do not do it with hate. If they do it with hate, they fall. Yes, only those who have gone beyond like and dislike. Yes. Negative, positive. Yes. It's beautiful to think that one should be androgynous. Androgynous state is that state where nothing affects you. So among these three qualities that we carry, what is stated in the scriptures is overactivity is better than underactivity. Poise is better than overactivity. And through continued state of poise, attain deeper poise, attain constancy in poise. Thereby you stand in the center of things. Thereby gain unwritten knowledge. Unwritten knowledge. And keep ascending in terms of knowledge. Grow in the fire of knowledge to that point where you burn up dualities. When the two arms of the triangle are neutralized, what remains is the point. When the two legs are withdrawn, it is one bird that remains. That's how the soul remains. In that state of soul, according to need, you can manifest into qualities. If there is no need, you can remain soul. Yes. There is no preference to subjectivity compared to objectivity. Yes. If required, you get into objectivity. If not required, you stay not even in subjectivity, in the soul, in the beingness. When you are in the beingness, the creation is not. Yes. From that state, you may descend into subjectivity and objectivity. So when you frequently remain as soul, get into subjectivity and objectivity, you see the magic of the dualities, which is not there. That is the final magic a fire philosopher learns. That is the final philosophy that an alchemist learns. For such a one, in any mundane thing he can see gold. That's how he can transform everything into everything. Because the five states of matter are far inferior to the state of soul. So your ascent in knowledge will give you the clues about matter. So you remain as soul and experience the kingdom of soul in its variety. According to the need you descend. Such ones don't mind being in the body of a bird or a human or a serpent. Or a mountain, or a river, or a stone. They can manifest as a sacred stone, a sacred tree, yes, a sacred bird, a sacred serpent. Any form is okay for the soul. We see the differences. Higher, lower, superior, inferior. But the soul is the basis for all these forms. So it has no resistance to be in anything, because everything is filled with soul. That's how there are great beings who, at the will of the Lord, remain in the infernal world and conduct the world. Like elementals. Yes. There are many infernal intelligences helping the formation of matter. Yes. And they remain in all the five elements. They form part of the five senses. They form part of the plant, the animal. They form part of so many intelligences, because there is no preference anymore. In those categories fall the lords of death, the lords of discipline, like Pluto, Saturn. Who would like to do unpleasant jobs? Pleasant jobs or white-collared jobs, everyone would do. Unpleasant jobs in creation, who will do? Those who don't care for opinion only can do. People who care for others' opinion are not at the level of the soul. Yes. So self-realization, realization of I am, is only possible only when we are able to neutralize in our being our attitude to dualities. Yes. One cannot say, I carry energy of love, when there is something in him that hates. That love is called real friendliness. That friendliness is called brotherhood. So the words love, friend, brotherhood, these are all words relating to that state of being where there is no duality. Goodwill to all. Yes. We have to imagine that to start with. For that you need to read lot of stories from the scripture Bhagavata. Yes, where many have demonstrated how to stand beyond duality by constant recollection of the one I am. Because contemplations at each stage, according to your comprehension, they vary. So the one who is beyond duality, how does he work? There are many stories of disciples in relation to those who have transcended duality. You don't find so many stories in the West. Please don't mistake me for saying this. Because here the belief is to divide things into good and bad all the time. You have to judge, yes, and you have to act according to the judgment. Personal judgment. Yes. Judge not is what the message given. But we continue to judge. So we judge something as evil. Yeah. Yeah. We judge some group of people as axis of evil. And try to destroy them. Which is evil? The moment you identify evil and you are trying to destroy that evil which you think evil is the evil actually. An average occult student does the same thing. An average occult student sees more bad in the society, more evil in the society, more sin in the society. As you see, so it will be. Once a great intellect came to Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He was widely read and is widely known for his knowledge. He came to know about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and wanted to know the Paramahamsa's understanding of life. He asked the master, how do you see this world in this Kali Yuga? Ramakrishna smiled and said, let me know how you see. So with all his intellectual knowledge, he went on saying what is right, what is wrong in this world, and how to set things right in this world. He talked for 1.5 hours because he is used to talk like me. After having said so much, he asked the master, what do you think about it? Then the master said, I don't know. When you say that there is so much in the world, first time I am trying to see if there is some such thing in this world. Then the scholar asked, please tell me, master, what is your understanding? The master said, I don't know. I don't see all that you are seeing. I see the play of the mother. It is the play of the mother. The mother is playing in varieties of ways, through varieties of beings, with its nature. What will the poor beings, what can the poor beings do? The nature, all beings came through nature. Having come through nature, they cannot overcome nature. Only with the grace of the mother they can be lifted up. To me, all are my brothers because I too am a son of nature. And I see them acting according to the nature's play. I don't see all that you see. Then the scholar said, no, to you everything is mother, you are a mother worshipper. So you see everything as mother's work. Then the master said, maybe I see what I carry in me, as you say. Does it mean you see what you carry in you? That is the truth. Each man sees what he carries in him outside. If you have hatred inside, you see hatred. If you have jealousy inside, you see jealousy. If you have beauty inside, you see beauty. If you have love inside, you see everything love. Yes. Someone asked Sri Aurobindo, what is life and what is yoga? He said, all life is yoga. That is what it is, what it is for him. There is also a master who was asked, what is life? He said, all life is service. See, each one according to what he carries inside, he sees outside. So the scholar saw so many things in the world which he carries inside. So he speaks that. Yes. That's why every man, when he speaks, he is only speaking of himself. Yes. If he is full of politics, he speaks politics. He is full of business, he speaks business. That's it. If he is full of divinity, he speaks divinity. Yes. What we are inside is what we express to outside, to objectivity. Just like salt expresses to be salty, sugar expresses to be sweet. So as you are, so you express. So in that context, gain association with that. You become that. Call it as light, then to you it is light. To some it is love. To some it is will. God is defined by many according to what they are. He remains undefinable. So if you are in duality, to you the whole creation is duality. If you are out of duality, you see the beauty of the play. So that's the ultimate portal. I have only tried to place before us the journey we have to make. Yes. And if once it happens, then we can think of being in the presence of the great ones. Even when the great ones teach, and some scribe it, according to the scribe, the teaching takes the color. This also please remember. Yes. Many times the scribe's color is added to the teaching of synthesis of the great ones. So the teachings have to be seen beyond the scribe's personality. So likewise, as you grow, you know that there is no duality in this world. and there is only one soul at play with nature. That's where the conflict in us concludes. So that is what the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita gives us. It tries to introduce us the activity of duality and how to get beyond. For want of time, I am not giving stories, otherwise there are so many stories in Bhagavata which speak of disciples who lived beyond duality. Thank you. Namaskar. Blessings come to all of us from behind. And we should try to work as much as we can in tune with the teachings that are given to us from time to time. I have been coming from 87 very regularly to Europe, and what is appreciated by the background is continuity of consciousness as between the groups. We continue to travel together regardless many obstacles on the path, and also regardless some accidents happening to the vehicles. Yes. The accidents to the vehicles are in terms of ill health, domestic economic problems. Nevertheless, we proceed. As I said on the Mekal day, the Master will take care of our vehicle. Let us continue to travel. That's important. Yes. We don't have to worry if the vehicle stays until we reach the goal or not. It is his responsibility, because he promised that he shall continue to the repair while the vehicle is on the run. So he is the master mechanic. He will take good care of our vehicle, which is personality. The personality vehicle is prone to make many accidents. But the driver of the vehicle is the master. So just like in a movie, in spite of any number of dents happening to the vehicle, the hero reaches the goal. So likewise we shall continue to work regardless all difficulties that we keep getting. Yes. When the difficulty comes, don't think it is your problem. It is the master's problem. Because he promised to take care of the vehicle. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So he will continue to take care of the vehicle, we continue to travel in the path of the Master. Yeah. If we remember that our responsibility is assumed by Master CVV and keep working without losing confidence, I am sure we will be able to reach the goal. Yes. The goal is to continue to work this life and this life after, and continue forever to that work which the Master decides for us, for our benefit and benefit of the life in general. So keep that confidence in the Master that he will take a good care of our vehicle and define the vehicle as your personality. Master CVV made a large promise. Don't think that I care only for your souls. I care for you in totality. I will not neglect your personality. Yes. I shall ensure that the personality is repaired from time to time to enable the soul to continue the journey. That is where there is an assurance and we can continue to progress. Whenever we lose confidence, better look at him. Yes. The slogan of the Masterhood is, why fear when I am here? But we doubt if he is there. Yes, that's why the fear comes. I know that many of us have been meeting from many times. And each time we get a little more touch of the Master. More than the teaching, it is the touch of the Master that happens through the teaching. So it's not to be so very intellectual, but to be more to feel the energy we gather in these group lives. And we continue to do so as long as the Master wills. Namaskaram. Is given also is for the work of the Master.